Merci. Mwahaha! I've just hijacked Mizu's channel. Actually, that's not the case. She has given me permission to upload a video while she's gone on her cruise. She won't find out what this video is until she gets back. But hey, let's have some fun. So what I've decided to do is, since you all know that one of Mizu's hobbies is to, or interests to say, is to collect manga and read manga. Of course she has other interests, but I thought I'd like to share one of my interests, which is to do with tapestries. That is long stitch, short stitch and cross stitch. So in the videos coming up, I will be showing you some of the artwork I've done and sort of explain some of the stuff behind it. So let's get on with it. Technically, the first two pictures here are not actually cross stitches or any other forms of needlepoint. I just thought they were interesting pictures that I've had up around the place. The first one here is something called a random dot stereogram. You may have seen it from the Magic Eye series of books and whatnot. If you look at this one, hopefully it works in the video, but if you look at it, supposedly there is a flying eagle in there. I know when I first got it many years ago, it took me ages to try to figure it out, but I eventually did. Now I can pretty much see them anytime I like, now that I've got the technique down. The next one is just a standard print on a board. As you can see, it's just a wizard. Thought at the time it looked pretty snazzy, so I snatched it up and now it's part of my collection. So the next few are works in progress. The first one we have is titled The Castle. As you can see, I've only done most of the dragon, still got some more to do. It's actually meant to be a castle with the dragon wrapped around it. I've taken quite a long time to work on this one because if you know anything about cross stitch, there are quarter stitches and 3/4 stitches, which means having to stick the needle down in the middle of stitches, which is really annoying, and this has a lot of them. So I've kind of been turned off doing it because of that, and I will eventually get back to doing it. This next one is called The Wizards. As you can see, only a little bit is done. As you can see here, the final design is supposed to look like this. One of the things that are annoying me with this one is the fact that it's on black material. If you've ever done cross stitch on black material, you'll know that it's very annoying, and I found the best way actually is to have some sort of light source behind it so that it shines through the holes. It's just annoying having to have that light source behind and getting into a position to be able to do that. The next one is actually 12 designs. There's 6 fairies and 6 butterflies that correspond to each of these fairies, and they're supposed to be individual designs, but I've decided that I want to combine them together into kind of a not a panorama, but join them together to make two separate pictures, as you can see here. Hopefully I can get around to finishing this, just get off my lazy butt and actually do it. But I think with this mock-up, it does actually look pretty good, so it's kind of encouraging me to actually go ahead and finish it. These next ones are actually fully complete, except that they just need to be put into a frame. The next two designs are, of course, from Winnie the Pooh. These were originally crocheted patterns for a small little blanket for either a cot or a small child's bed, and supposed to be done with wool. But I decided that since the design was actually on graph paper, that I can actually do it in a cross stitch instead. These next 3 designs are just simple little ones. The only thing really of note is that the dragon pattern was actually just a black and white picture, and so I decided to add in a bit of colour, give a bit of a gradient background, but other than that it's just some simple little designs here. I do like the cat where it says hang in there. It does give a bit of a encouragement for people. I hope to eventually frame the first two, the windowscape and the hang in there, The dragon silhouette is more of a bookmark type thing. These next two are probably my most favourite ones out of the ones that haven't been framed yet. The Christmas tree was kind of annoying with the metallic filaments. It loves to twist up, and you have to untwist it every few stitches. Whereas with normal floss, you can go quite a long time before having to untwist the threads. But yeah, I really enjoyed these ones, especially the coyote one. Pretty much every single square on the pattern is stitched. There's very few that's not stitched, and that's mainly in the border. And we finally get to the ones that are completely done. This blue jay design, I did it as a kind of tutorial or an example as I was teaching someone else how to do some cross stitching. So I deliberately left the back open so that they can actually see what the back should look like if you've done it kind of properly. I know I'm not an expert at this, but I do take pride in what the back of the cross stitch looks like, as well as the front. So yeah, I put this together. Well, it's actually a design from a book, but I stitched it, and as I said, I left it open so that they can actually have a look at the back as well. These designs here are greeting cards that I've sent to my parents over the years. I think that doing these types of cards, custom made ones, add a bit of a personal touch to it, and I think people appreciate cards that have been made more than the cards that are purchased for them. So if I can, I'd actually make these things up. I think my most favourite one out of these three is the reindeer one. I can just imagine giving a reindeer a whole bunch of candy and it just looking like that, saying, "Nope, nope, it wasn't me, I didn't eat all that." These next two are just nice simple little designs. The one on the right was actually a very small tiny picture that I saw in a magazine, and I kind of zoomed it up and tried to recreate the pattern so I can actually do it myself. So there's not much really to talk about with these ones, so we'll move on to the next lots. This is one of the first larger pieces that I did when I was really young. I think the first few I did two before this were very small ones, but this is my large project that I did when I was younger. As you can see, it's long stitch, and all the framing for these ones coming up were done by myself and my parents. The frames itself were actually purchased from bargain shops, getting anything with prints in them. You can pick the frames up for like $5 or something like that. You pull the prints out and stick your own tapestry in there, stretch the material onto the backing board, and voila. If you go down to a professional framer, you'll be charged an arm and a leg for these type of frames. But yeah, if you go down to a bargain shop, then you can usually pick up pretty good frames for really cheap. This one is actually, I think, my second largest, the second one that I did for my large projects. I had to keep on putting a sign on there saying that these are geese because people kept on calling them ducks, which kind of annoyed me. So yeah, I put a little bit of paper that had the word geese on there and stuck it down on the bottom of the frame just to let people know that it was actually geese, not ducks. I don't know if they were trolling me or if they literally were thinking they were ducks, but whatever. It's kind of one of those memories that I have of this particular design. This next one is a relatively new one. I saw the pattern in a magazine and thought it looked really nice. It's supposedly a quote from Oscar Wilde, but when I've now done some looking into it to see if it really is Oscar Wilde, it seems like it may not actually be that. It's one of those sayings where someone in history has claimed it to be from a famous person, but it's not really. But either way, it's a pretty good quote, I think, and it's something that I think we should all try to live by. The framing itself, I tried doing something slightly different with this. All the other ones, I put the picture behind the framing board, or the framing mats. But this one, I thought, let's try putting it in the front and see how it turns out. And I think it turned out reasonable. With this next design, I was originally going to take the horn off the unicorn and just make it a horse, but I thought, no, we'll leave it on there. It was actually done for my dad. He loves horses, so he's got a lot of different figurines and pictures and whatnot of horses around the place, and I thought this would be a really nice design to do for him. It was really difficult in that there was a lot of whites and light, almost white colours on a white background, so that's kind of made it difficult to see where we've already stitched, but at the end results I think actually turned out pretty good. This particular design was probably my very first large cross-stitch design. It was my first attempt at trying to do it on a black material. And yeah, I've learnt since that black material is not a very nice thing to work with, unless, as I mentioned earlier, that you have some sort of light source behind it. But other than that, it's I think it looked pretty good. Now we get to this the last piece in this video. This one brings back a lot of memories. The design itself I got when I went to Malaysia to see family. It was the first time I've been to Malaysia. First time I was seeing a lot of the family, and one of my aunts or great aunts or something like that had this pattern, and they found out that I liked doing cross stitch, so they gave it to me. The problem with the pattern is that it was actually done on the so-called non-photocopiable paper, so it's like black ink on red paper, so when you tried to photocopy it all turned black. So it made it really difficult to first of all see on the original paper, but trying to photocopy it larger to make it easier to read in some places, of course you couldn't do that because of the photocopying. Now because of that, I tried doing it. There was a little bit down in the bottom right hand corner where the rocks are, probably about 2 inch by 2 inch area, maybe 3 inches by 3 inches, and that actually took me 3 months to do, just that one little area. But then I thought, no, I definitely got to get this done. So I put my mind to it, and the rest of the picture took me another 3 months to do. So yeah, if I just put my mind to it straight from the get-go, it would have just taken 3 months. But as it is, it took me 6 months to do. Now the Chinese words there supposedly say King of the Mountain. I don't speak Chinese or read Chinese, so I can't say for certain, but I have asked a couple of people to translate that for me, and they've all said something to that meaning, that it's King of the Mountain. Well, this concludes this video. I hope you all enjoyed this little tour of one of my hobbies. There is another cross-stitch pattern that I had done for Mizu, but that is currently in her room, and I forgot to take a photo of it last time I was around there. But then again, I think it's one of those personal little things that it's for her eyes only type thing. So it's kind of good, I guess, that I didn't take a photo. But I hope that, as I said, everyone has enjoyed this little bit of detour from Mizu's normal manga videos, and we'll see what she comes up with when she gets back. So remember, everyone, stitch all the things. Yay!